Welcome, everybody, to Mom Street USA. My name is Kate, aka the Dizzy Cicerone, and with me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jackie, aka Wishes Mama. Tonight, we have a really fun episode coming up talking about Jollywood Nights, our brand new event at Disney World, and also Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Kind of a comparison of like which one might be better for your family. And we're not going to tell you what to do, but we are going to give you some information so you can make an informed decision about what you would like to do, which event might work best for you, or if you want to do both of them. So that's what's headed for tonight. Jackie, where shall we start this evening?
I think we're going to start in Hollywood Studios with some of the new stuff, and I'm excited to talk about them. Kate has just returned from a trip where she visited both of these parties, and I am actually gearing up for a trip to go and visit both of these parties. So I think we both have some insight because Kate kind of went solo mom without kids, and I'm going with my kids. So yes. We'll kind of give you guys our different perspectives as we go through, like Kate said, to kind of give you guys the information so that hopefully you can decide what you'd like to do for your party. And yeah, I think we're going to start over at Jollywood's, if that sounds good to you, Kate.
Yes, I think that's the hot topic, right, that everybody's talking about right now. Yeah. It's Jollywood. And I did get to go to the very first night of Jollywood, which is, of course, giant Disney Creator Fest. Every Disney creator on the face of the planet was there, which is always so funny. And I was like looking at them, I was like, wait, I know them. I'm like, no, I don't know them personally. I just know their face. And I was like, so like
I know who they are.
So Jollywood Nights, to put it in a nutshell, if you haven't heard about what it is basically a more adult-centered upscale event that's kind of vintage feel to it. So they encourage people to dress up in vintage clothing, and it has a lot of the things that are inside it are very much like vintage themed. So do you want to talk a little bit about when and where and all the details there?
Yeah. So like we kind of mentioned, we're just going to kind of give you guys all of the information that is out there and available based on what the website has to say, what the maps have said for the event. And then we'll just kind of give our 2 cents here and there. But this is mostly meant to be kind of informative for you guys to get all of the information kind of in one place so you can make those decisions. So this year, Jollywood Nights is select nights November 11th through December 20th. Now, I will say, I think it was only 10 total nights that they announced for dates for this event. So it is a much more limited event than you will see when we get to Very Merry. They only had those 10 dates. The time of the party is 8:30 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. So it is a very late night party. A little bit different hours than you think of when you think of kind of the other offerings that they have. With that ticket, you can get into Hollywood Studios starting at 7 p.m. So they always have that little bit of extra early time that you can get in. This one is a shorter window than what you will see when we get to Very Merry, but it does have that extra 7 a.m. early entry time. Ticket prices range from anywhere from $159 to $179 before tax. And annual pass holders and DVC do get $10 off of those. And I will also mention that you will have to kind of take a look at prices because they do vary by day, and they vary by like adult versus child tickets. So the children tickets are typically $10 to $20 cheaper than the adult tickets, depending on what you're looking at.
Yeah, and to add a little bit of context of experience into this, that's kind of the facts. I have kind of like what I experienced. We showed up, I was with 2 friends of mine, and we showed up probably, 6 o'clock is when we showed up to line up. And so we were outside the gates and probably 4 or 5 people deep into that line there. And we got through pretty quickly once they opened it. I think it's 6:30 is when they started letting people into the park for that event, even though they said 7. So maybe get there a little bit earlier than what the time says. And we did get through fairly quickly. Now, however, people who were in the park already, they had the chance to go and get you get a wristband that says Jollywood Nights, and it's might be different colors depending on what night. I'm not sure. That's what they usually do for Very Merry, is they do different colors. And then there's also a lanyard that they give you that they did tell us you don't have to wear this, but it does help them kind of know who's part of the event and who they're supposed to like kick out of the park, when it closes.
They get out of here.
But I find these a little bit frustrating when you're dressed up because you don't want to be wearing this over your nice outfit. So luckily you don't have to wear this all night, but it does have a QR code on the back. It says Jollywood Nights, and then it has a QR code to all kind of the event information. So that's handy to have. So they give you those two things. So if you are inside of the park, they were distributing them. I think it was at the Mickey Theater, the Vacation Shorts Theater, I think is where they were doing it.
I think that sounds right.
I didn't obviously went to the outside option, but I heard that the wait for that was like an hour-ish. It was a long wait. So you might be better off going out of the park and getting in that line to get through it faster than if you're already in the park trying to get it at the distributions point there. I will say, though, that knowing Disney, they will probably manage that in the next couple events to make that more streamlined, because that's usually how that happens. So if they know that there's a bottleneck or something, they usually get pretty quickly on that to fix it for subsequent events. So
yeah,
take that information for what you will.
Yeah, and I know I also will say that I did see, again, this is all the information we have seen online or that Kate experienced from that first party. So very limited amount of information that we have right now just because of that. But I did also see that those people that arrived kind of right at or right before that 7 p.m. time, that the line outside at that point had gotten very, very long too.
Yes.
So I think, again, hoping that Disney will be able to manage that a little bit better, knowing that that was an issue that first night. But you never know, so definitely plan to arrive early and be patient and, hope for the best and hope for quick moving lines when it comes to getting your wristband. And I will say that I am glad that the lanyard thing was an interesting choice, I think, that Disney made, but I am very glad that that's not the only way that they have to indicate that you're going to be at the party, because there is absolutely no way my kids would leave that lanyard on all night.
No, and it's quite annoying. It's actually pretty large.
Yeah.
They did this too for throwback night, and then Disneyland, they were like, no, you have to wear it at least until like the party, like the regular guests clear out, and then you can probably take it off. And so that's what I did there, but it was a little frustrating. But luckily you didn't have to leave it on the whole time. I will say a lot of people didn't know that they had these maps that are there. Mine got rained on, so mine looks a little rough, and it was shoved in my tiny little purse. So just, it looks better in person. But there is this really cute map. And it is like, it's even like holographic on the inside. It's super pretty. So I would recommend making sure you grab one of these maps on your way in, because a lot of people didn't even know they existed. And if nothing else, they're a super cool souvenir. But they do list all the places you can find all of the attractions, just like at any Disney event, attractions and food and all the things. So make sure you grab one of these maps, because they're worth having.
Yeah, I know my kiddo's going to be super excited about that shiny map. He already loves maps. Like every time we walk into a park, he picks up a map. I'm like, buddy, you have so many maps in your room at home. He's like, I don't. Like, okay, that's cool. But he's going to be really excited about that one. So I have a feeling that I will be like bringing a plastic bag to stick them in. So that way, if it rains or whatever may happen, we have one for him to have at home. That way he's happy with that.
Well, I will mention about dress. I mentioned that it's kind of a vintage feel, and I think that it's way more fun to dress up for these things than not. But I will say that I saw a fair amount of people that didn't dress up at all, that were just regular park clothes. So it's not required. I think it definitely adds to the atmosphere to be dressed up, but if it's not in your budget, or it's not like you just can't, that's okay. You can still go to the event and experience it. So keep that in mind. I do have a picture of us there, well dressed up.
Look,
Finest.
we did the little outfits.
We did the 3 Caballeros theme, so that was real fun for us.
Yeah, it was fun to see some of the outfits that people came up with. I feel like, it's one of those events that, like you said, it kind of adds to it when you get super dressed up. But again, it's not necessary. But, more people are going to dress up at an event like that than they would at like Very Merry. Although you do see people dressing up at Very Merry, but it's not as frequent, I feel like.
Well, at Very Merry, there's like a lot of pajamas. Like,
yeah,
it's more
like
more
cozy.
Casual.
Cozy casual Christmas instead of like vintage fancy Christmas.
Fancy pants.
Yes, exactly. Well, let's talk a little bit about the food, because this I feel like was one of the main draws that that Jollywood had for a lot of people, was the food. So they had a ton of offerings.
Before we dive into anything specific, yes, I'll just mention that they did not, as of the first event, they did not serve any food until the event actually started. So just keep in mind that if you arrive on the early side, there's no food for you to get that's party food. You can get like regular food, but like we went in and we're like all hungry and we're like ready for eating, and there was no eating to be had that was for Jollywood. So if you go early, know that the only thing you can do is you can go on rides, but they still have regular guests there, and you can't eat, but it's just regular food. Really the only thing you could do is maybe take a few photos, and they don't even have all the event stuff out yet to take photos with. So it's almost an event I wouldn't recommend going super early for, unless you just really felt like going on rides with regular guests. You know, that's the only benefit of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because we just talked about getting there early, so you don't have to wait in that super long line to get in. But I feel like, yeah, I would have in mind what you want to do between when you get in and when the party actually starts, so that you're not just like, what do we do?
Yeah, because there was a lot of standing around waiting at the beginning because there wasn't much for us to do. Like, yeah, Lem was Magic Bands and Trash Cans was with us, and he said just show up at 8 p.m. Like, because it really is not something where you can go in and do a whole bunch of things ahead of time. So that's my recommendation. Anyway, let's get back to food.
Yes. So let's talk about food. They have an extensive food list for this party, and it is a ton of event exclusive food that you have the option to partake in. I will say that the menu here had a lot better of a mix between like savory and sweet than some of the other events that we have seen in the past, especially at Disney World. And we've talked about that a lot on our podcast before, how Disneyland gets a lot more savory options typically than Disney World does. But this event, I feel like, did a good job of kind of giving equal amounts of both. A lot of the food here has kind of a Mexican or Hispanic palate when it comes to flavors. Not all of it, but a lot of it does have that kind of flair to it. So I'm not going to go through and read these because, like I said, it is an extensive list, something like 60 some items that they have. So Kate is showing us some photos of what you sampled. Do you want to tell us what you tried, what you liked, what you didn't like?
Yeah, this is the empanadas that were at ABC Commissary, and the corn was like meh, but the empanadas itself were good. They were just tiny. So I'm showing you actually like two orders. We put them on the same plate, so they just come with two little ones plus some corn. But the prices were low, so it's like, you know, it wasn't like I paid $10 for those two or anything. We also had the birria taco that had that had the like dipping consomme with it. And actually, this was very good, especially if you added the lime to it. That really gave it a little extra flavor. The consomme was a little bit bland, but overall, both of those food items I would probably still purchase again and eat again. And we did have, I don't remember what this is called. Help me out. Like, this has a name I couldn't pronounce, but it's like a little rice, I don't know, dessert that's kind of like almost like a sponge cake.
Tembleque.
Yeah,
that's my
right.
guess.
I don't
Coconut
recommend
rice
this
pudding.
I think who was it? Kirk from Walrus Carp said it was kind of like eating a squishmallow, I think, and I think that that was accurate.
Why?
So,
Why is that the description?
I don't know. That texture, Jackie, you're like anti-weird texture person. That would be not in your wheelhouse.
That's not even on my list.
It wasn't like awful. It was just like, I just probably wouldn't purchase that one again. But they did have some really solid options at ABC Commissary for that menu, and I really enjoyed those.
Now I will mention before we kind of jump on a little bit more of the food here that as of the first event, there was no mobile order option during the party. So be prepared to wait in lines. And I'm sure if any of you have seen any of the reports coming out of those who went to Jollywood, that was one of the biggest issues that people had, was having to wait in those really long food lines. So just be prepared, scope it out a little bit, have a plan, maybe divide and conquer a little bit, but kind of figure out what you want when it comes to food and check those lines out, and kind of just plan accordingly. Hopefully, like we have mentioned with some of the other lines, Disney will maybe have a little bit of an altered plan for the future events, but we don't know until that actually happens.
It's true. There was a lot of lines. That's true. I do want to say that Fairfax Fair actually had a pretty good menu overall. I thought that the turkey popover that they had was probably one of my favorite things that I ate there at the party itself. So it looks like this. It's basically like, you're like your Thanksgiving turkey sandwich, and it's got the cranberry and the turkey and the mashed potatoes and the gravy. That's pretty much what it is. And so I recommend that one. I don't necessarily recommend the mac and cheese one that had I think it's collard greens on top, but
yes,
the mac and cheese itself was not very flavorful. So that probably, and I think it had bacon in it too. But
ham, mac and cheese with collard greens and ham.
Yeah, something that came from a pig in it. I mean, it sounded like it would be good, but it just wasn't. It wasn't for me, maybe. So you can give it a try if you want. But I will say that I also got this. I want to say it's a banana shake. Do you have the list up?
Yes, it is. Frozen banana and white chocolate with caramel swirls topped with a matcha whipped cream and sprinkles.
So it's got the Muppets on top. It's got Kermit and Fozzie.
Super cute.
Yeah, it's adorable. I think Lem from Magic Bass and Trash Cans, he really enjoyed this one. I couldn't taste any of the banana flavor. It was very heavily matcha. Mm-hmm. So if that is your vibe and you're all about the matcha and kind of maybe white chocolate versus the banana flavor, that might be for you. For me, it was probably not my favorite drink just because I'm not a huge matcha fan, and that's maybe on me. So,
yeah. But I think there was some texture discrepancies across those milkshakes as well that I think made a difference in flavor too. So it's hard at events like this when they're cranking out as much as they can, as fast as they can, especially the first night of something, for everything to be consistent and correct, and things happen. But just be warned that you never know. Some of the other options, they had quite a few different like funnel cake options, but they weren't like the sweet funnel cakes that you typically think of. So over at Epic Eats, they had like spicy Korean chicken funnel cakes and a brisket Reuben funnel cake. They also had s'mores funnel cakes. So that was one of the areas that looked really interesting, that they just had those kind of savory funnel cake options. Again, a lot of really unique flavors coming out of this event, I feel like, but I feel like it was good because it was a couple different palettes and a couple different things that they had to offer that aren't your standard sweet options that they typically offer at their Christmas events.
Yeah. And I think that one of the most popular things that people got was the Gertie cookie. So Gertie's the dinosaur. If you don't know who Gertie is, just based off of an old animation from the 1920s. So there's a little Gertie with a little Christmas hat.
Okay, but those cookies are so cute.
They're so cute. I wouldn't say that the cookie was like the best cookie I've ever had, but honestly, it was good, and it was like, it was just really adorable for photos. That I'll say it's an Instagram cookie.
It's an Instagram cookie.
It's like we had so much fun like posing with this cookie, and just like enjoying ourselves. So get the cookie just for the fun aspect of it. I think it was less than $5, so it was not bad. And we didn't wait in a terribly long line for it, but we did go later in the evening to get it. So keep that in mind.
And they do also have that available. I think they were out by the time you guys got there, but they do have a mint soft serve that you can opt in to do if you choose to.
Yeah, they were out by the end of the night. So like you risk that of it running out. That was always a possibility. There was another place we didn't get to, which was the Brown Derby had food that actually looked really good. And they had live music, but we didn't want to, because it was only a 4-hour event, we didn't want to sit down for a good hour-long meal. if that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. And we
Yeah.
will just quickly mention the way that the Brown Derby is doing seating during the event. They are doing like a virtual walk-up queue, essentially, where you have to kind of sign in and do it through your phone. And I think you have to be like basically outside the restaurant to sign in to that. I know the first night, again, it was like instantly filled and packed wall to wall in there. Which is to be expected, especially the first night. You may or may not find that at the future parties. It may not fill up as much. I do anticipate it's still going to be a popular spot. But yes, definitely keep in mind that it's a sit down. So it's going to take up a significant portion of your evening if you do choose to go there.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that any of the experiences that I had was also kind of on an unusual night for the party because it had so many content creators and influencers there.
Yep.
So they will want to do literally everything and first. So everything's going to fill up very, very quickly. All the lines will be busy very early in the event, where that might not be the case for the future parties. So just take that into account. I will say that of a couple of the food places we went to, there were sold out food, and it wasn't always late into the evening. I think ABC had something sold out within an hour into the party. They were already sold out of something. So hopefully that's something that, Disney now will know this was the popular item, and they'll order accordingly. And hopefully that won't be an issue in future parties. But if you're something you really want to get it first. That's my best advice for these parties is get it first, because it's always possible that it might sell out.
Yes, very true. Another popular place that we saw a lot of people flocking to was the Tip Top Club over at Tower of Terror. And again, I'm sure if you haven't seen, do a quick Google search and you'll see some of those images that people had of it being absolutely packed in there. Definitely a very popular spot for people to go and get drinks. It is in the kind of like courtyard area of Tower of Terror, so it's not a super large open area. So keep that in mind if that's something that you're wanting to do. They do have several drinks that they're offering there, and there is live music up in that space as well. So if that's fine with you and you want to head that way and you're okay with being, with a ton of other people up there, then that is totally fine. I know, Kate, you guys went towards the end of the night and had kind of a better experience, although the weather did play a little bit of a factor because it had started to rain when you guys went.
Pouring by the time we went, so there was no more live music because, they were escaping the rain, and we took our drinks inside the exit of Tower of Terror. Actually got some like super adorable pictures with the drinks in there. So, I mean, I don't know. Like it worked out. This is pretty amazing. Like, however, can you like take a drink inside there and do that? Right. So I would say that my strategy would be to go later in the evening, regardless, even unless it's, I guess, going to pour down rain. But it was easy to get drinks. They just walked right up. So different feel for sure.
Yeah. So basically, when it comes to the food and the drinks, make your short list of things that are your must try. And like Kate said, get them first and divide and conquer. If you've got multiple adults in your group and you all want to kind of split a couple things, divide out, get them so that way you're not waiting in multiple lines, all together. Like I get that you want to be there together, but it's probably the best, most effective use of your time if you kind of split out and then set a meeting point so you can all sit and eat together.
Yeah, I would say pick one or two places for food that are like your priorities and do those, but maybe not try to get food at all the places because it's 63 food items. It's a lot. And so that could be your entire 4 hours is just going to all the places and getting food. So
yeah. And I will say, if we're thinking about this food list kind of from the approach of a parent, I know when I was doing my research, there's not a ton that's kind of kid friendly when you think of the flavors. No. The majority of the kid-friendly items are sweet items. A lot of the savory items have more spices in them than my kids would be comfortable eating. I don't have super picky kids. They're kind of in the middle. So again, keep that in mind. My husband and I had to very carefully like, okay, we got to make sure that our kids eat before we leave. We got to make sure we have a snack for them. They're gonna, we're obviously gonna let them get some of the sweets that are on the menus that they want
like
to,
the Gertie cookie. It'd be
yeah,
perfect for kids.
absolutely. But definitely keep that in mind if you are a parent taking your kids. If you have a kiddo that's got, a very wide palate that likes some of the things that are there, you will have no problem with that. But if you've got kiddos that are a little pickier with their flavor options, just keep that in mind.
And I will say, I did get this question a lot, even while I was at the event. Was there a lot of kids there? Were there kids at this event because it was so adult focused? And the answer is yes, I did see some kids. I hardly saw many, though. I could say probably less than 30 in the entire event. However, the event night that I went on was that content creator night. So they got all the tickets first. So I'd say there's probably going to be a few more kids in the mix, probably in the next couple events. And I think that you can bring your kids to this mainly because of the attractions that are available and shows and characters, which we're going to get to in a minute. So I wouldn't say like, don't bring your child to this event, but I will say it is more adult focused. It's got alcoholic beverages. It's got this food that's a little bit more adult focused and those kinds of things. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah,
that being
absolutely.
said, do we want to talk about the attractions and what's available during the event?
Yes. So basically, the information that has been put out by Disney is that the attractions are available, basically are subject to change, which is something that they always say kind of at every event, regardless, because they don't want people to get upset if something becomes unavailable for them. They really showcased on all the publications, Slinky Dog, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Tower of Terror having low waits during the party, which I would say was fairly accurate every time I looked at the wait times. But again, the evening that Kate went, a lot of people were not going for the rides. They were going for the shows. They were going for the food and the drink and the atmosphere and that type of thing. So we'll see with the upcoming events whether or not that holds true. If we have more people that do the rides or not, it's kind of depends. The other thing that I will mention about the attractions is that if you are going and you want to ride Rise of the Resistance, it is only available via a virtual queue. So they do not have a standby line during the party for Rise of the Resistance. It is an 8 p.m. virtual queue that is available on your My Disney Experience app. So it works just like every other virtual queue works. You do not, I believe, have to be in the park. You just have to have a valid Jollywood ticket for that evening. So if you're outside, if you're on your way, whatever your plans are for that day, just know that at 8 p.m. you'll be able to jump onto that virtual queue. And I'll be honest, I didn't see a ton about how that process went or how smoothly or what the wait was like.
Nobody
because
was
again,
doing that.
Right, exactly. That evening, not a lot of people were taking advantage of that just because of circumstances. So, but do keep that in mind if that's something that you want to do during your visit.
Yeah, and I'd say our experience, at least on that first night, was like pretty much everybody that was at the event was in this Sunset Boulevard to like down ABC Commissary Lane there, like that was pretty much like, and Hollywood Boulevard. That's all it was. It's just that front part of the park. And so it made it, I think that is also what made it extremely crowded, because there's a lot of people that have been asking me like, why did Disney oversell the event? And I was like, I don't think that they did. I think what happened was they maybe didn't anticipate that people really would just want to come for the food and the drinks and the shows and not do any of the rides. Because if they had spread out, if everybody that was in the park had spread out over all of the rides in all of the park, I don't think it would have felt crowded at all. So I don't think this was like a Disney oversold problem. It was more of a concentration of like people in one area.
Yeah, well, and those spaces are not super wide. I mean, they're just as wide as kind of like a standard street with, you've got a little bit of sidewalk room, but still, it's not a ton of space. So yeah, I think that's definitely true. People didn't venture back into Toy Story Land. They didn't venture all the way back to Galaxy's Edge. They were just basically in that whole front. So if you imagine cramming that many people in that space, of course it's going to feel overcrowded. And of course the lines are going to feel long for characters and for food. So You just kind of have to be willing to pivot. If you see a lot of people somewhere, try to go somewhere else, kind of work your way around where the crowds are.
Yeah, and I wonder if that also might get better as we get maybe
Mm-hmm.
more families into the park, less content creators that are all trying to do the same things at the same time. That's
Right.
it's going to get crowded that way. So
Right.
I think that will get better, both with that changing and also with Disney responding and making adjustments as needed. Because you think of any major event that you throw, there's going to be issues the first time you throw it. There just are. So I don't know. I went into it with like, this is the first night and this is the first time it's ever happened. It's not
Right.
going to be perfect. It's just going to be what it is. And then Disney will take that information and then make it better as they go. So yeah. So I think that we'll probably see a lot of these things get better over the next couple of nights in this season. So
Yeah, I agree. So speaking of lines, let's talk about characters.
oh yes.
So there are some exclusive characters. There are also some characters that you can see any day that you go to Hollywood Studios there. So definitely take a look at the list. I don't know that this is an extensive list, but the characters that I know have been talked about that are there. Powerline Max is there, which you can meet him during the day at Hollywood Studios. One of the big ones is Phineas and Ferb, which is, not gonna lie, part of the reason why I'm going.
They were by Gertie.
Yeah, Phineas and Ferb are meeting there. They have not met in the parks since, I think I looked back and it's like 2015, I think was the last time that they were in the parks.
I know they're making a comeback. I'm there for it.
Oh, I'm so excited. You can meet the Rescue Rangers Chip and Dale, which that is more of a party exclusive. They do show up at different events from time to time, but they're not always in their Rescue Rangers outfits. And then you've got the standard Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto, and then Edna Mode and Frozone, which both of those are available typically during park hours. So some exclusive characters, some characters that you can see day to day. Some of the character lines were really, really long. So just, again, one of those things.
Better by the end of the night. So if later is better for characters, I think, than earlier. That's always tough as a parent, though, because your kids aren't better later. Your kids are tired later.
Yep.
So, that's what it is.
Yeah. And pick and choose, because you're not going to be able to see everyone. And yes, Mickey, Minnie, and their, the Fab Six, I think, is who we have here. They are in fun, party themed outfits, but maybe the party is not the time to do a meet and greet with Mickey if you've got other park days where you could see him another time in another place. But some of those other exclusive characters maybe would be more up on your list.
I know. Or you could just do what I do with characters, just wave at them as you go by when they're between greetings. They'll sometimes wave back, and then I feel like I've met them. I'm good. Take a selfie from far away, just like back in the day.
Or you can be like me and insist on waiting in line, even if you're the only one in your family that wants to meet the character.
I have to say, character greet. I always love giving Mickey a hug and stuff like that. But sometimes meeting characters gives me a lot of anxiety because I don't know what to do, especially if I'm by myself. If it's with my kids, I'm like, let my kids go and they meet them, and that's great. But for me, I'm just like, what do I do? What do I say?
Right.
I don't know.
Right. Or you have to plan it. You have to plan it in line. You got to have at least like 5 minutes in line that you got to be like, okay, what can I say to them that will be fun? And then you just take it from there.
Yes. Blem says just wait till they leave their spots and catch them on the way out. That's always a strategy too, but then you might have to hang out and wait for them. But
right. That is true.
Speaking of taking pictures and things like that, we do have PhotoPass available during the event, and I'm pretty sure I have PhotoPass anyway, but I'm pretty sure because with your event ticket it includes PhotoPass, correct?
Yes, any PhotoPass pictures that you take for the evening are included with your ticket price for Jollywood, which I think is a really nice perk that they added. Mm-hmm. I am fairly certain that also includes like any PhotoPass photo for the evening. So they did have a couple special like holiday themed magic shots that they had available. They advertised this robotic arm magic shot, which feels to me, I don't know where it is.
I don't know.
But it feels to me like, okay, those like 360 camera views that you see at like awards show red carpets? That was the vibe that I got from some of these. So look into that further if you're a big like PhotoPass magic shot person, because they also had this they call it a camera array magic shot, where it's a 9 camera boomerang style shot.
There, it is on your map that there's like little tiny cameras. You can almost see them. They're reflecty on here.
Yes.
But that's where you can see the specialty photo experiences.
Yes.
Is they have little cameras on the map.
Yes, so check that out if that sounds of something of interest to you, to at least get an idea of what it is. I don't know if any of these photos exist on Google. If you try to search them, it's hard to say if any of our content creator friends that went, all 1,000 of them, if any of them partook in any of that or not.
Okay, it looks like there's 2 in Animation Courtyard. There's one in Pixar Plaza. There's one in like Galaxy's Edge in Batu. I was like, nobody went back there. There's one in Sunset Boulevard, which I didn't see, but it was apparently there. And there's 2 on Hollywood Boulevard, which I have a feeling we missed. Oh, and there's one near the Tip Top Club as well. So I have a feeling that we missed the Hollywood Boulevard because we came in early. They did have like a huge sign out there with a little illuminated Ollie, which is the name of the little gingerbread man.
The little gingerbread guy.
We
He's
missed
pretty
it
cute.
because it didn't come out because we came in early. They didn't bring it out until the event started, and by the time we left, it was raining so hard they'd taken it away, so we actually didn't see it at all. So, yeah, they might not have set up some of the things because of the rain. That's what Len said, and that is entirely possible. But that's supposedly where you can get photos. So,
well, and I feel like that's hard unless you're like seeking it out. It may not be something that you even like realize is happening as you're kind of walking across that area. So definitely look for those on the map if that's something that you're interested in, and realize that if you haven't done a memory maker or don't have PhotoPass, that those are included for the night. So if you're fun and dressed up, get your fancy photos.
Yes, I always do it first. Get your photos first, because then I like lost a piece of my outfit during the night. So like, when things happen, like, you get disheveled and stained and all the things, especially if you have kids. So take a picture first, make it a priority, right? And then you can just go enjoy yourself.
Yes, that goes for any event, any type of coordinating outfits or fancy outfits, where no matter what time of year, take your photo first.
You could be like me, like the humidity in Florida makes my hair like go like Monica Geller. So I always have to get a photo first, and then my hair can do what it wants to do.
Yep.
Should we move on to some entertainment? What's available here at this party?
Yes. So I think some of these are what some people over here in my chat were wanting to hear about. But let's talk about just kind of some of the general entertainment that they had available throughout the evening. There is a DJ on Hollywood Boulevard, and that DJ was playing more kind of like what you would anticipate, like a club DJ kind of to play.
It was weird. It was supposed to be. What I heard was it was supposed. Sorry, was that blunt? It was supposed to be like vintage feel, but mixed with modern beats. Was like that's how they sold it, and it was. But I was dressed up vintage. We were in a vintage place. Like all I wanted to hear was like vintage Christmas songs. Like that's all I wanted, and that wasn't exactly what happened. And it's fine. It's a vibe, and as some people that was probably their vibe. It just wasn't mine, so it's fine.
Okay. Duly noted. On Commissary Lane, there was a holiday fiesta of music being played over in that area. Again, we mentioned kind of that Mexican Hispanic feel that some of this different parts of this event had. There was live music at the Twilight Soiree at the Tip Top Club, and that was more of like kind of vintagey feel. I know you guys didn't get to hear them, but from what I saw and what it looked like, it was more of like a vintagey feel in that area.
I should have gone.
It was.
I was too late for the music I needed. It's fine, but it was there. So yeah.
Yes. And then they had jazz holiday music inside at the Hollywood Brown Derby. So again, that is that sit down area. But if you want to hear holiday jazz music and enjoy a meal, that's your place to go. So that is the music that they had in there. And then those were kind of like the throughout the evening entertainment, so to speak.
The ambiance kind of entertainment where it's just around. And they did add some special lighting and stuff to some of these things. Like the Commissary Lane one had the red and green lights on the palm trees and things like that. So there was a little bit of extra feel, Christmassy feel with that.
Nice. And then let's talk about the actual shows that they had. I think these were the star of the evening, so to speak, were these shows. So the first one we'll talk about was Disney Holidays and Hollywood Show. Excuse me. And this was the show with the Muppets. It was Muppets, it was princesses, and it was Mickey and Minnie. And it is phenomenal. You think like good vibes, Christmas, like extravaganza, like that's what it was.
It is so fun, and it's in the Theater of the Stars, I believe is what they call it, which I don't know why the stars aren't on that one spot. That's driving me crazy.
Oh, that's sad.
Something happened there, but yeah, it was really fun. It was kind of done like as if you were watching a show on TV, like a variety show. And so they would bring out the characters, and then they would have like commercial breaks, and then they would bring out like the next act, right? So it's very like vintage feel in that. But it was definitely like the highlight of the night, I think, for me was this show.
Yeah. So there were two hosts, and then they had Kermit and Miss Piggy were in there. Tiana was in there. Belle was in there with her winter Christmas gown, which was exciting to see. And she actually sang the song from the Christmas movie of that, which was not something that you typically hear. No. And then Mickey and Minnie they stole the show. I was excited to see the Muppets. And then I saw the whole thing, and like the Muppets are fantastic, but Mickey and Minnie stole the show. They sang and they danced, and they really danced. And it was so much fun to watch that style with those characters.
The storytelling was good too. I really enjoyed the message that they had, very hopeful and positive and fun. It was like the perfect way to kick off the Christmas season for me. Yeah. So that if you go to this event, you have to go to the show. To. If you don't go to the show, you're missing out on one of the best parts of the event. So, and I think it's also really great for kids. I think this is like perfect for kids. It's got their favorite characters in it. It's got lots of dancing and music and fun, and it's perfect for kids as well as adults.
And I will say, I truly enjoyed that there was live music on stage with the performers.
Yes,
that just made it so much better. Like live musicians sitting on the stage. Some of them even like got up and like interacted with some of the characters. I was just like, yes, I love this so much.
Yeah, it was like they highlighted the musicians. They let them, they weren't just like background. Like it happens so often with musicians. Like you're there, but you're not really the star of the show.
Yeah, so, absolutely. And this showtime is at set times throughout the evening. Kate, do you have your list on that map of what times? Because I forgot to write it down, but it's got, I think, 4 or 5 showtimes throughout the evening. And it's like every hour on the half hour, maybe?
Yes. So Disney Holidays in Hollywood is what the name of the show is in the Theater of the Stars. So it's 8:45, 9:45, 10:45, and 11:45. Perfect. So thank you. 4 shows. And the first one for us was super crowded, but again, that could have been the night that we were on it. But usually in Disney shows in general for these kinds of events, the later you go, the less crowded it is because it tends to be people get tired and they go home or they're done. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was part 1 of the shows that they had available. The other show that they had available was a special sing-along entitled What's This? And it was a Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along show that took place inside the theater where you typically see the Frozen sing-along during normal park hours. But they completely transformed the stage area and made it all Nightmare Before Christmas. And this was a completely different vibe than the other show. This show was a little more artsy, I guess would be the way that I would put it. With the hosts that are inside kind of on the stage. We're used to, the Frozen sing-along. We have those historians that are, completely narrating and interacting with the audience and joking and that type of thing. But these hosts, so to speak, for this one, are completely silent, almost mime-like, in their performance. So really, really unique show from Disney for this one.
Yeah, I really thought it was creative the way they did it. It was like they fell asleep in front of a TV, and then everything what's happening is that they're in a dream.
Yeah.
So it's very, very creatively done and orchestrated. And they did have snow. I won't give away when, but there is Snope involved in the show.
And there may have been some character appearances that I'm not going to spoil in case you don't want to hear spoilers. But there may have been some really, really cool character experiences on that one. So
I won't even show pictures of them because they're so much fun to just experience.
Yes.
But yeah, they're very, very well done show. Very different vibe from the other one. If you have kids that do not like Nightmare Before Christmas, this would be a skip, because it is very much Nightmare Before Christmas kind of creepy vibes. But for anybody who is a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, this is a must-do. It's amazing.
Yes. Yeah, I am super excited because my kids love Nightmare Before Christmas. It is one of their favorite movies to watch, so I am super excited to take them. I already kind of spoiled it for them a little bit because I couldn't help it. I was so excited to tell them about it. I know, but they're also kids that like they kind of need to know. Especially my oldest needs to know kind of what he's gonna need to expect when we go. So I didn't show them. They asked, of course, they know our good friend Kirk at Walrus Carp has videos that he posts, and they asked if he had any posted, and I said he does, but we are not going to watch them until after we go. I want you guys to see it first in person, but I did tell them a little bit about the show so that way they would know. But they are very, very excited to sing along to those songs inside the theater.
That's so fun. I can't wait. That's going to be amazing for you.
Yes. So those are the two shows that they had.
The show times for that one.
Oh, yes.
It's again on the hour, but it's 15 minutes earlier. So 8:30, 9:30, 10:30, and 11:30 p.m. for the Nightmare Before Christmas sing-along.
Yes, and you guys went to the 10:30, and it was still fairly crowded, but not completely full.
Yeah, I think that 3/4 of the room probably was still full. So, yes. So we have one last show that is in my opinion, a can't miss for this event, and it's bringing it back is the Jingle Bell, Jingle Bam Nighttime Spectacular in the Chinese Theater. And this is something that was in Hollywood studios for quite some time. And it's really creative because it is not tied to any specific IP. It has its own unique characters in it. And I think that's really, and it's very much Christmas and Santa and his elves. And it's really fun. And if it rains, the lasers they use look really cool.
Because you guys witnessed this pretty much in like a downpour, right?
It was pouring rain. Oh. It was so wet. But everybody was out there standing in their ponchos and their umbrellas because, like, when else are you going to see this show? In the pouring rain, they still had fireworks and stuff. So it wasn't like a miniaturized show or anything like that. It was still was a full-blown everything. And it was really wonderful. I really enjoyed this one. But of course, this one is not a new show. It's just one that they have brought back for the event. I was trying to see if I could find a picture of it.
And I think the one thing that is just interesting to note about this show is that it's got just the one showtime, and it is at the end of the event. So it is at 12:30 a.m. So if you are a family visiting and you're thinking that you might have to leave early, just realize that you're gonna miss this fireworks show because it is at 12:30.
And that's the only one you're going to get.
Yep.
Yes. That's tough, you know.
Yeah. Now, Kate, for this show, was it pretty much equal parts projection and fireworks, or did you see kind of one more than the other for this one?
I would say that it was you could see some of it here. They have a lot of lasers. They have a lot of projections, but they did have a fair amount of fireworks. I would say less than you would see in Magic Kingdom, but not so much that it's just a projection show. They did have ones. It was also hard because it was so cloudy for us that you can't even see half of the ones that were happening. But it was pretty neat to see a lot of the laser effects are also really cool. So
Yeah, definitely a really unique show to have. And it is exciting to see a bigger fireworks show come back to Hollywood Studios. Hollywood Studios they used to do Star Wars themed fireworks. They used to do Frozen themed fireworks. So it's exciting to see kind of those bigger fireworks shows coming back.
Yeah. And they brought back some really unique elements in this show. Like I'm showing here is some old shorts and whatnot that they tie back into things. So I think it's got something for everybody in that, it's got stuff for little kids all the way up to older adults. So this one is definitely one that, except for the time, is great for families.
And do keep in mind that it does have those bigger fireworks. So if you've got a kiddo like I do that is sound sensitive, just make sure you plan accordingly. That it will have some bigger fireworks. Typically, the shows at Hollywood Studios that we have normally right now just have a few little like kind of firecrackery fireworks at the end. But this show definitely has more big fireworks. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
I think that wraps up kind of an overview of Jollywood and what they have to offer and kind of our input on that. Shall we?
Wait. I have one more thing.
Okay.
So you do get a gift on your way out, which is
thank
these coasters, which I barely even opened. See if I can get mine out. I was trying to protect them from the rain when I went. So mine are now officially stuck in this box forever and ever. I may never get them out. Here we go. Okay. So they are little wooden coasters that say Jollywood Nights 2023 on them. They look like this in the back. They have little felt feet on them. Looks like bamboo, if I had to guess what kind. So we do get two coasters. So very much to me, that's like speaks to it being an adult event because it's like the kids are not going to get very excited about coasters. And there's two as if like, you went with a date, you need to get a coaster. So anyway, that's the gift you get on the way out of the event.
Yes. And I will briefly mention, because I didn't write it down, but as far as like event specific merchandise, the only thing that we saw was a t-shirt that they had with the kind of Jollywood Nights poster that you've seen a lot on it with kind of the navy blue shirt with the gold on it. But that was pretty much the only thing that they had, other than obviously the coasters that you get at the end. So as far as merchandise, this is not a big event for kind of event specific exclusive merchandise.
Which I wonder if they'll change that in the future, just because adults like to buy stuff.
Right. I'm surprised that they didn't have like, they very easily could have had like wine tumblers and like those types, like to kind of match, I don't know, charcuterie boards. I don't, like they have a lot of that other stuff in there with their other merch. Yeah. So why not make Jollywood specific items like that?
Yeah. I don't know. I bet they will fix that. And, they probably just didn't want to invest a lot into their first year in an inaugural event, not knowing what it's going to be like. So I imagine that will come later. Yeah. So yeah, are we ready to hop to our second event? And I feel like have we talked about this before on Mob Street? I'm trying to remember.
We have, yes. So this is, kind of just, again, going to give you an overview. We're kind of just going to run down the information. Really just to serve as a comparison. The focus of this episode was really the Jollywood Nights party because it's new and it's, we wanted to get that information out and available to you all. But we do want to compare it to Very Merry just so, again, like we mentioned at the beginning, people have the kind of an idea of what makes the most sense for the people that they're traveling with.
Yes. So let's talk about Very Merry a little bit. This is select nights, November 9th through December 22nd. There is a lot more of these than Jollywood. I think Jackie mentioned that earlier. It goes 7 p.m. to midnight, but it does have a 4 p.m. early entry. So you can get there nice and early if you'd like, which I think is a huge benefit to this. It's like almost not a full day, but a big giant portion of the day.
It's 8 hours in the park. I mean, we're using it as a full Magic Kingdom day whenever we go. We made a short list of rides that we're going to try to hit before the party stuff starts, knowing that we're also going to need to eat and things like that kind of in that time frame. But yeah, from 4 to 7, you're there again with the general day guests. So keep that in mind when it comes to rides that you want to try to accomplish. while you're there, but definitely a longer period of time.
Yeah. They do give you a wristband as you go in. It's like a ribbon, and they're different colors for different nights from what I've heard. So this one actually, I had a really hard time getting this off at the end of the night. So just FYI, if you slide this black thing, you can't slide it back the other way. So if you have kids that are like, maybe like be careful with your kids, like don't tell them, don't tighten it more, because then you're gonna have to cut it off and get a new one probably.
Yeah, because we had those, because I thought it was interesting when we went to Not So Scary last year. They had those ribbon like ones instead of like more of the plasticky wristbands that you see.
Yeah.
Which is nice, but I don't think ours had that black piece like that.
Yeah, so like this is Jollywood had the normal plastic ones that once they tighten them, they just kind of stay.
Yeah.
This one, I didn't never experienced this before, but I slid this black piece towards, to like tighten it just a little tiny bit, and I couldn't get it back the other direction. I started to panic. I was like, oh my gosh, like
I'm stuck forever.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So anyway, just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Did you talk about ticket prices already?
No, we did not. So ticket prices for this one range anywhere from $149 to $199 before tax. You're going to see that $199 price typically the closer you get to Christmas. The last couple parties are going to be that higher expense. That's just the way that Disney does it. And again, annual pass holders and DVC members get $10 off. And Kate is showing us the cute little themed map that they have for the event. So again, a map, it's not as shiny as the Jollywood map, but it does have a nice little party map that you can pick up when you walk in.
Yeah, it's definitely worth getting because it shows you all the locations of all of the various things. So I did try out some of the food. I'm not like a huge food person usually when I go to these events, but I did try some of the food that they had. And the thing that I would say is the winner from all the things that I tried. Maybe you have the food list pulled up, Jackie, for the name of this, because I can never remember what it is. But this little guy at Friar's Nook. This is a little look like a snowman with a scarf. And this was the best thing I've eaten in Magic Kingdom in a long time.
Really? It was
so good.
I heard you say that it was good. I didn't realize it was that level of good.
Yeah. I also had like a little like ham hand pie that was okay. That was also there.
Yeah. So that is from Friar's Nook, the Peppermint Snowman. It is a chocolate brownie topped with cookies and cream peppermint mousse. And it is a party exclusive.
So when I went, they handed it to me. They're like, just in case we're running out really fast. So like, here, have this. So I did see people get them later in the evening too. So I think they make more as they run out. But if that's a priority for you, go and get it early. Because I went at like first thing to go get it, and they were already saying they were running out. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
I also got this
super cute
hand pie.
Look at your bag, your little snowman bag. He's so cute.
Posing with my food. So do you have the list of what's in this one?
Yes, I do. The holiday ham fried pie. It is a flaky pastry filled with baked ham, candied sweet potatoes, and spiced pecans served with a pineapple glaze.
So this one, there wasn't a lot of savory options like we've talked about. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe this would be a savory option, but it's not. It's pretty sweet. Because it's got sweet potato and pineapple and like it's all sweet everything. Yeah. But I did like it. I don't know if I would get that one again, but that snowman, I'm still thinking about it because it had this like layers. Oh, I have a picture of the layers. It had these layers on the
multiple
inside.
Pictures of this.
Yeah, you can see like the chocolate and the inside is so good. So anyway, get the snowman. That's my
Yes. So like Kate said, and like we mentioned earlier, I'm not going to read through all of the items there, but this party definitely is heavy on these sweet items. Very few savory items. So this is something you're going to want to really pay attention to for yourself to eat, but also if you're taking kids, that you don't want them to only eat sugar for the entire evening. You know, they're at a Christmas party at Magic Kingdom. You got to let them have a little bit. But if you don't want it to be all completely sugar from the time you get there till the end of the evening, take that into consideration that the normal park things will close around 6 p.m. to get ready for the party. So just keep in mind that time you're eating accordingly.
Yeah. And the other thing you can eat and drink is there are multiple stops where you can get a Christmas beverage and a cookie, and that is included in your park ticket. So it is not extra. There's other food that is specialty food that all costs extra, but this does not. And this was my first time at Very Merry Christmas Party because I've always ended up going at the time of year where I went to Not So Scary. So I've just like never gotten to the Christmas party before. So my brain was just like, oh, that's the same stop. Like you just get the same thing at every stop. But then I was like, no, you get a different thing at each stop. Some of the hot chocolate was the same, to be fair. But but a lot of them had like this one is a buttercream frosted cookie with cider. So you got a little apple cider with it.
So they are pre-packaged. If you're familiar with the company Cheryl's Cookies, that is where the cookies come from for the complimentary cookies that are included. Again, there are 5 stops that you can do. 3 of the stops have hot chocolate. 1 has apple cider. 1 has eggnog. And then the cookies, I will let you know just because it's fun. They have a frosted gingerbread cookie at Tortuga Tavern. They have a chocolate chip cookie at Columbia Harbor House. They have a red velvet cookie at Pinocchio Village House. They have a snickerdoodle at Cosmic Rays and a frosted sugar cookie at the Lunching Pad.
Yeah. So make sure you hit all of those. But, maybe you don't. The nice part is they're pre-wrapped. So if you don't want to eat them right there, you can just collect them and then have them later because it's a ton of sugar.
Yeah. That is our plan because we do the party the night before we drive home the next day. So it's like, aha, road snacks.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. So I have a feeling we will be, saving some of those for another time. And this kind of does work as far as like, if you go to Not So Scary, you know that if you hit those trick or treat spots towards the end, they're just going to dump their extra on you. They do that to an extent at these stops as well, where they'll let you kind of take a couple towards the end of the night once they know that they're going to have enough for everybody. Obviously, don't try to do that during the middle of the day when they're, still trying to serve all of the guests that are coming to the party for the evening and maybe haven't made it there yet. But I know towards the end of the night, they do offer several cookies at each of the stops.
Yes. Another thing that I saw that I was laughing about was that I was riding Space Mountain, which we'll get into some of the attraction overlays in a second, but there was a guy who had gotten 2 of these Mickey Toy Soldier popcorn buckets and was wearing them on Space Mountain. And so they were like here because he couldn't put them anywhere. So he's just like holding on to his popcorn buckets.
Come on, Mickey, let's go ride Space Mountain.
I was laughing so hard.
Oh, but they are so cute. So yes, the exclusive popcorn bucket that they have for this event is a Mickey Toy Soldier popcorn bucket. Let me grab a picture of it here so we can find it. But it is one of the cuter popcorn buckets that I think I have seen in recent years. In my
it is pretty adorable. Yeah, I think that was great. And while you pull it up, I'll also mention that they do have some exclusive merch for this event as well. Most people, it was like a Spirit jersey that said like "Joy to the World" on it, and it had the date on the front. I think on the front, it had the date somewhere on it, and it was red, and it was really cute. I just didn't want dated clothing, but
right, yeah, I struggle with that too. Okay, there we go. There he is.
He's so cute.
He's so cute. I'm heavily trying to convince my husband that we need to add him to our collection of popcorn buckets.
Just be prepared. You might have to take him on Space Mountain.
That is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I mean, come on. My husband is a trumpet player. Like, how can we not own?
You have to get one.
I know. He's a trumpet player and I love Christmas. So, like, how can I not?
You should get it.
Exactly.
Well, along those lines, should we talk about what special things there are with the attractions while you're there?
Yes, let's talk about the holiday overlays that they have. So they will advertise some of these, but not all of them, which I think is really interesting. So I kind of had to like double check that these were all available before I put them down on our list for the year. So Christmas overlays.
I will say they say on the map, they say holiday twist next to them. Yes. So if you're looking for ones that have it and you don't remember, they say holiday twist next to them.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So
So Space Mountain is one, like Kate mentioned. And Kate, what is it like riding Space Mountain during?
I will tell you that it was a little terrifying
Oh no.
because I mean, I liked it, but I was also terrified. So
Yeah.
it was because they have Christmas music and then they have like red and green lights on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
which illuminates the entire track system.
Mm-hmm.
So you see everything that's inside there, which is fascinating
Right.
and
You may
also
or
terrifying.
but you may or may not want to see that when you're riding.
Yes. So keep that in mind.
Yes.
But I thought it was tremendously fun. So I would do it again in a heartbeat because
Yeah.
it was just so much fun. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're a little bit scared of Space Mountain, just be aware of that.
That's fair. So kind of working our way around, Tomorrowland Speedway is one that has a kind of twist, a holiday twist where they've got different Christmas decorations kind of throughout as you drive through and different lights and things. So that one is one. And now that's the decorations for that one are up throughout the day. You just won't see them illuminated until you get to the party time. So
Yeah,
that
they're
may or
not
may
quite as
not
fun
be-
in the daytime, I will
Right.
say.
Right. Very true. And then the teacups have an overlay, which I think is one of the most fun overlays that they have at this park, where they play Christmas music while you ride, which is super
Like
cool.
lights. They do lights and projections of little things on the teapot, and they also have they have projections too on the ground leading up to it of like a big clock, which is really interesting. And up in the trees as well. I feel like they had little spirals up in the trees. So the whole thing just kind of becomes much more Christmassy. And you see that in the entire park. I was actually really surprised. I was like, surely some of these ones are just not going to have anything that's Christmassy to them. They're just the rides, right? I was like, and I went to the Haunted Mansion, and the Haunted Mansion had like red and green lights. Sometimes they would actually change the lights. They had snowflake projections on the conservatory. They had the gravestones were like red and white. I was like, what? And then they had, of course, Christmas music playing, which was so weird. They had like the Muppets singing. No, I think it wasn't the Muppets. It was Winnie the Pooh and all the characters singing Christmas songs while I was standing in the exit of the Haunted Mansion. I was like, this is interesting.
Not
It was
exactly,
fun.
not exactly a Haunted Mansion vibe, but you know.
Oh, it was funny though. There was hardly anybody at the Haunted Mansion, so it was great. It was like you got the whole place to yourself.
Love it.
It's fabulous.
And then Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor does have a holiday twist where they do holiday themed jokes and all of that on the inside. So that's another one. And then the last one is actually available during regular park hours as well as during the party, and that is the Jingle Cruise. So Kate, do you want to tell us what the Jingle Cruise is, since you are in fact a Jungle Cruise Jingle Cruise expert?
Yes, so the theme behind it, just in a nutshell, I'll do it real fast here, is that they have air dropped goods to all of the Jungle Cruise skippers because they're out there in the middle of the jungle, right? So you'll see parachutes with like crates and stuff all over the Jingle Cruise. They've changed the boat names to fun Christmas names. They tell Christmas themed jokes. They have just like extra decorations that are kind of like jungle Christmas decorations everywhere, and it is so much fun because of that. It's just a creative way of slightly changing the ride, but enough to make it feel Christmassy.
Yeah.
And I 100% think you should do it. However, I will say that it's pretty crowded during the party night. It was I went during the, almost at the close of the party, heading towards midnight, and the line was still 40 minutes long. And I was like, I don't know, because you don't see as much at night as you do during the day.
Right. Yes.
So
very true.
I would recommend going in the daytime if you can, and maybe saving it towards even the end of the night, just because it's going to be a long wait. And it's going to take up a lot of your party. So
yeah, and that would definitely be a good option if it's something you really want to do and to get in line for when you get there with that 4 p.m. early entry. Because your legs are fresh, you're not tired from standing, you're maybe, if you're going with kids, your kids are more willing to wait maybe 30 minutes for something like that. So that would be my suggestion if that's something you really want to do and you don't have another day in Magic Kingdom on your trip, that you could do it maybe using Genie Plus or rope dropping or something different like that, because that one is available outside of the party hours.
Yes. No, that is a great suggestion, especially with kids that might not make it late at night.
Right.
So, no, that's
Exactly.
great.
Yeah. The other attraction that I do just want to briefly touch on is Tron. Tron is available via virtual queue only during the party, which is no change from what it's typically available for. So that virtual queue is at 6 p.m. for party guests. So again, you can join that as long as you have a valid ticket for Very Merry. You'll be able to join that queue on your phone. Also, keep in mind that queue during the party will most likely, not guaranteed, take less time than the typical virtual queue because just less people in the parks. So if you're used to, sometimes those virtual queues can be 30, 40, 45 minutes once you actually get in line. Most of the time, not all of the time, most of the time during the party, that virtual queue is going to take a lot less time, but you still need to account for, you need to arrive within your window that they're allotting for you and give yourself enough time to be able to do that.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about characters. I will say that I saw a lot of characters that I did a lot of waving to and then moving on. So
there are so many characters. So like if you are a character person, you can easily spend your entire party just hunting all of these characters. And a lot of them are rare or exclusive characters to only these types of ticketed events.
But you do see a significant amount of them in the parade. Mm-hmm. So if you're like, my kid really wants to see this character, but I don't want to spend all of our party time doing it, the parade is a great option for that, because then you'll get to see them. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But
yeah.
Yeah. So any of these, you're the character person.
I am.
To you.
So just a couple highlights of people that you see. I kind of went through and wrote down more of the kind of rarer characters. One of the big ones is you do get Jack Skellington as Sandy Claus. So we get Jack and Sally in their standard attire during Not So Scary, but at Very Merry, you get Jack in his Santa attire. So if that is a big deal for you, that is going to be a big wait, and that is going to be a big character meet that you're going to have to spend a lot of time preparing for. But other characters that they have Mary Poppins. The Green Army Men are like from what I read, are in the walkway as you go towards like getting into the party. Because when you enter for the party, they send you kind of through the back way around Main Street. And that was where they are. The Tweedles, Tweedledum and Tweedledee are both out, which you don't always see. They're kind of more of a rare set. I always love Pooh and Friends are in their winter attire, which is always fun. One of the big draws, again, is the princesses are with their princes for almost every princess that you can find at this party. So if you've got a little one that loves the princes and princesses together or wants to see the princes, this is a good event to see them. It's one of the only times that you get to see them in the parks. Scrooge McDuck, which we see pop up a little more frequently now with kind of more of a popularity with the DuckTales kind of coming back, but he is around. Santa Goofy is another big one that you only get to see at the party. He's super fun. Again, the Seven Dwarves, they only meet at Very Merry and at Not So Scary. One of my favorite ones is the Aladdin, Abu, Jasmine, Genie rotation that they have. I've had some really good character experiences with them, and they meet in rotating pairs. So you don't get all four. You get two at a time with that one. Jack Sparrow is out. Santa Stitch is like an official meet and greet this year. Last year, he was just on the stage in Tomorrowland, and he would come out and do like the party that they had there. But this year, he's an official meet and greet, which I'm really excited about. The idea of getting a picture with Santa Stitch. And then they do actually have the official Santa, not Stitch version, that meets in Liberty Square as well.
Yeah, and I will say that the meet and greet for Santa is in a really fun location that has lights just everywhere. So it's very pretty spot to just walk by, even if you just want to see as you walk by it. They have all the trees illuminated and all the bushes have lights on them. So it's like extra magical in that area at that point.
Super fun. I did have a question over here. Connor is asking for Jack and Sally. Is it the same location as Not So Scary? And yes, it is. It is in that town square theater on the right-hand side after you walk under the train station. So it is in that same area that you are typically used to finding him. And all of those are featured on the map that Kate showed earlier, and they are available somewhat on the app, but the app doesn't always have the location specific. So if you are looking for characters, definitely make sure you pick up a map and you ask a cast member, hey, where can I find so-and-so? That way you're not kind of wandering looking for those characters.
And I feel like they had, what was it, little Mickeys for the
Yeah, they're like little Mickey heads kind of on the map.
You can almost see them on here. The ones that look like little black dots. Those are little Mickey heads with Santa
Mickey heads.
So that will help you find the characters that you're looking for. But again, you can always ask to a cast member if you're just like, you just need to know and it's too hard to figure it out because it's a lot of information.
Yes, and like we said, a lot of characters. Now, I will mention PhotoPass we talked about with Jollywood being included. It is not included with Very Merry. So if you're going to want to have access to those PhotoPass photos that you take during the party, you will have to have a memory maker of some sort linked to your account. But they do also have special PhotoPass magic shots. And they also have those like photo setups that they've been using a lot throughout the parks, where it's like the frame with characters that you can like go in and put yourself in the middle of the scene and like pose for a picture. They had a lot of those set up around the park as well. Not all of those are always going to have a PhotoPass photographer there. So just keep in mind, you may, if you're solo or if you're trying to get family shots of all of you, you may need to ask a kind stranger to take your photo for you.
Yeah, it really depends. Like sometimes of the night they do and sometimes they don't. For the more popular ones, like the one when you're walking in, it seems like they have it most of the evening. But some of the lesser popular ones, I guess, like the Stitch one didn't always have people there. So it really depends.
Oh, how dare he be less popular? That's just a tragedy.
I'm trying to pull up some of my photos for it.
While he is finding those, I think she mentioned a little bit about merchandise earlier, but they do have special party merch for here. A lot of merch for here. They've got t-shirts. They've got the spirit jersey that Kate mentioned earlier. Oh, there's Kate inside one of those. Oh, you look like a Christmas card. That's so cute.
I know I should probably use it for a Christmas card.
You should. That's great. But they've got pins and mugs. They've got a pot holder and cookie cutter set, which is super cute. They've got an ornament. That's the one I want. I got to get my picture with Mary Stitchmas.
Mary Stitchmas.
I know, it's so cute. So lots of merch there. So if merch is something you want, again, you got to get it first. They will like kind of section off where they put up the special merch until the party starts. And then once it starts, you better go in and get it because chances are good they're not going to restock throughout the evening. They may restock for the next party, but that doesn't do you any good. So keep that in mind. If there's something you really want merchandise-wise, go get it first before you do anything else, or you might miss out on finding your size or the one that you want.
Yep. And I thought the merch was really cute. I stopped by the one in Star Traders and I thought it was cute. I didn't get anything, but I will say also that they do give you a free ornament, which I haven't even taken out of the bag yet. That's it says Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party on it, and it's one of those toy soldiers that you see in the parade and whatnot. So it's a metal ornament. It's actually pretty sturdy. So one's, they just hand that to you on your way into the party in the evening.
Perfect. So let's talk entertainment. There is no lack of entertainment here. Tons of different options for what you can choose. I have to tell you all, when Kate got into the party, she texted me a photo of all of the entertainment. She was like, there's so much. What am I going to do?
I was overwhelmed. And then there's the cookies on top of it. And I was like, there's so much.
Yes. So a couple things that I will mention. The first is the Frozen Holiday Surprise, which is brand new this year. That is kind of being fondly referred to as the castle lighting show. And that is at 8:15 during the party. But I do also want to mention that it is also at 6:15 if you use that early entry. So if that's something you want to see, you could see it at either 6:15 or 8:15. So just keep that in mind. They don't publish the 6:15 time on the party map because it's technically not the party time, but they do it during the day for the typical your day guests. So Again, keep that in mind. Super cute Frozen show with all the Frozen friends. If you're familiar with the Olaf holiday Frozen little short episode that's on Disney Plus, it's that story and that music, which is just so wonderful and so wholesome and makes me teary when I hear it.
I know, me too.
So that is a good one if you want to see that. But they have so many other things. There is a it's called the Collective 5. It's a boy band style Christmas show that takes place on the Tomorrowland stage this year. This again is brand new, and it's kind of intermittently throughout the party from 7 to midnight. So that is like, again, it's boy band style Christmas that you can go and enjoy over in that space, which I think is a fun addition. It reminds me kind of the boy band vibes from Turning Red. So I'm here for it.
Yeah, it definitely goes to show that this party is catering to a lot of different age groups.
Yeah.
So it's not just an adult vibe. It's not just a little kid vibe. It's kind of like all ages, and you can just pick your own adventure for what you want to do, which I think is really wonderful.
Yeah, and I think the reason that this event has been so popular, and I think part of what we hope for Jollywood in the future is that people truly do. Some people go to ride the rides. Some people go to see the shows. Some people go to eat the food. Some people do a little bit of everything. So in theory, that's what Jollywood will be once people get more used to the idea of it. We're just not quite there yet. We're in the little baby beginning stages of that. But Very Merry really goes to show that that's really truly what these events are catered for.
Yes, absolutely.
So they also have at the castle the Mickey's Most Merriest Celebration stage show on the castle. And that is 4 times throughout the night. That is 7:40, 9:25, 10:35, and 11:55. So that is the kind of stage show that you think of when you look at these parties. Features a lot of fun characters in that one as well. Clarabelle's song cracks me up. It makes me laugh every time I listen to it. It's got some Toy Story friends in there. It's got all sorts of other friends that you can find with that one.
Show.
Super, super cute. Again, very good for like all ages with that show as well. Let's talk about the parade. I feel like this is one of the big draws for this. Kate was fortunate enough. She got to see, not during her party, but during another day, they were filming for the parade. So she got to see the parade more than once.
Yeah, I saw it during the day, and then I also saw it in the evening at the party, which was during the day was really interesting to see that because we don't see that usually. But they were filming for ABC's Christmas special that airs on Thanksgiving evening. So I got to see when they were filming at the castle and also the parade, which was wild and really so fun. And I might be in some of the shots in the Thanksgiving Day. I had a little blue light.
You're gonna have to find it and like screenshot it for all of us and be like, look, there I am, a little arrow pointing to you in the crowd.
Yeah. So who knows? It's possible, but that was really fun. But so the parade features a lot of Disney characters. A lot of the princesses are in there. We've got the 7 dwarves. We've got I think the highlights, of course, are the toy soldiers that are so traditional since the 1960s when they started promoting Babes in Toyland. That's where they came from. And then they also have Mickey and Minnie and Clarabelle making some cookies, and the gingerbread men and the reindeer, the Gippy reindeer, which we all love.
Good. We love them. They're so great.
It's definitely a can't miss parade. Make sure that you see that one, and it does happen at several different times. So that one begins in Frontierland at 8:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. So that's when it happens twice.
Yep. And it takes the standard Festival of Fantasy parade route that we're all familiar with, where it starts by the soon-to-be Tiana's Bayou Adventure, wraps around and comes down Main Street, and ends kind of by the train station. So definitely scope out your spot for that. For all of these, we always typically say that if you've got a group that can last till the end of the night, the later shows are typically less crowded, because not everybody will stay the entire event, or people want to get that stuff done with so they can go and do something else. So just plan accordingly depending on your party. If you get to line up for the parade and the first parade and it's absolutely crazy, maybe think about visiting back again for the second parade. So definitely some options there.
But one thing that you can't revisit at a different time is the fireworks show. It's Minnie's wonderful Christmas time fireworks show, and that only happens once in the evening, and that is at 10 p.m. So whether that is at the end of your night or just midway through your night, whatever it is, make sure you see that one. It is 100% worth it. 100% made me cry. It's a wonderful Christmas show. And yeah, so just make sure that you're at the castle at that 10 p.m. time. So.
Yeah, very sweet. And I will also mention that show is less projections and more fireworks.
Yes.
It doesn't have as much that is like on the castle other than just kind of like lighting, and maybe like it's got some projections, but it's like overall big projections, not like smaller character projections, if that makes sense. So as far as like where you want to go, where you want to stand, where you want to watch from, you can kind of decide from there. Because I know like when I had Kate do it, I was like, okay, I need to scope out where we're going to stand, because my kiddos don't always like to be super close because they don't like the sound. So we can definitely stand further back for this one because they're not going to miss, the projections if we stand further back for them.
Yeah. I agree that it is definitely more fireworks based. Whereas the stage show, if you're not close up, you're going to miss a lot. Or you can just use a zoom in on your phone like I did. So do what you got to do for that.
There you go. Yep, exactly. And then the other kind of entertainment that I will mention is there are two different dance parties that they have. One is the Disney Junior Jingle Jam, and that takes place inside of Cosmic Rays. So that is one where you will see those Disney Junior characters that we're familiar with seeing in the Disney Junior events that they have. It's Fancy Nancy, Doc McStuffins, and Vampirina, those types of characters. And then the other dance party they have is Club Tinsel, which I could not find a location for where that is this year. Club Tinsel was previously
Rocket Tower Plaza stage intermittently from 7 to 12 p.m. 12 a.m. So
do they alternate with the boy band? Isn't that the Tomorrowland
I saw them
stage?
over there.
Okay.
So it has Judy Hopps, Nick Wilde, and Chip and Dale for a dance party. So I think they alternate between the two. That's what it says intermittently.
And that's why I was trying to figure it out online. I was like, this doesn't make sense. Why are they both in the same place? But that makes sense if they're alternating. So those are your two locations to find your dancing if you are someone who wants to dance. Yeah, which is fun. Club Tinsel is where we also see appearances from the reindeer, if I'm not mistaken. I think they will see them appear at Club Tinsel from time to time when they're not busy in the parade.
It is nice though if you take like the People Mover, you can kind of like watch the fun and hear the band and stuff without like being down in the mix. If you just kind of want more of a bird's eye view from it, that's really fun. And I will say that virtually everywhere in the park has like green or red lighting or some sort of special lighting, so it feels very magical as you walk around the park. Like Pirates of the Caribbean has projections up on the tower and whatnot. So
fun.
Yeah, so it just makes everything feel special, if that makes sense. So I was actually surprised by how many things they had that were illuminated or set up in a very special way, to just look different than they usually do. Like here's the Haunted Mansion, has red lights on it. You can't see it very well here, but
oh yeah, right in the front you can see it. Yeah.
And like inside the hearse is like red and green, like they're having a party in the afterlife. So that's pretty fun.
That's what the Haunted Mansion's all about, right?
That's right. Grim grinning ghosts.
Nice. Well, I think that's all of the info for Very Merry. I think we just want to kind of wrap tonight by again just mentioning that this was all informative. You did get some of our opinions kind of as we went through, but as far as which party you should pick, it's really up to who you're traveling with and what they're interested in seeing. I'm going to both with my kids. My kids are 5 and 7, so I will definitely report back after we visit both kind of what their vibes were and what their thoughts were. But like I said, my kids are super excited about stuff at Jollywood and super excited about stuff at Very Merry. So I think it, for us, it made sense to do both.
Yeah, and if you only have the budget for one, I would with my kids, I would probably lean towards Very Merry only because there's more of a variety of activities for all ages.
Yes.
But I wouldn't necessarily say that's the only event you should go to with your family. I would just say that's probably what I would lean towards, especially because they've all got the cookies and the hot chocolate and all the other things as well. So, and the characters. There's a lot of characters there. So,
yeah, absolutely. I would totally agree with that. So every podcast episode, we end our episode with our Ask the Mom segment, where we take a question from one of our lovely Mom Street community members, and we answer. It could be related to the topic, could be completely random. So Kate, do you want to read tonight's question for us?
Yes. So we have a family of 5, 2 adults and kids ages 16, 13, and 10. What 2 parks are best for us to visit? I'm assuming they mean Disney World.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, Jackie, what would you say? What would be the best one for them to visit?
So I have a couple answers without having more details for this one. My first question that I would ask this family is if they are thrill ride family or not, because I feel like that's going to make a big difference. My default is almost always going to be Magic Kingdom as one of the parks that they should visit, because I feel like in my opinion, you haven't truly been to Disney World until you've been to Magic Kingdom. So I feel like that is definitely one that I would suggest. And then depending on if they're more e-ticket thrill ride kind of people, I would probably suggest with those ages to do Hollywood Studios. If they like more of the dark rides and that experiences, or they like more of the food, then I would suggest Epcot. So it really would depend, but Magic Kingdom for sure. And then depending on the preference of the family, either Epcot or Studios.
Yeah, I think that I agree. I think you really need to go to Magic Kingdom just to be like, I went to Disney World and I saw the castle. And there's also a mix of things to do there for a lot of ages. So there's thrill rides, but there's also other shows and things. And 100% Hollywood Studios, especially if they were thrill ride oriented, because that's where you find the majority of them. You also see things like Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and stuff like that, where it's like, for that age range, they might be more interested in that. It's hard to know without knowing the family in particular what they like. But yeah, I agree. Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom would be my recommendations too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we always appreciate when you guys send us questions for Ask the Moms, or when you ask questions in our chat here. We are more than happy to answer. If you've got a question you want us to answer for Ask the Moms, please send it to us in any way, shape, or form. You can find us on our Discord. If you're not part of the Discord, we are members of the Walrus Carp Pocket Fam Discord. You can find that link in our bios. You're always welcome to message us on any of our social platforms, or if you prefer email, you can find us at momstreetusa@gmail.com. Any of those are great. So if you have a question that you need help answering, send it our way.
Yeah. And this has been a really interesting episode to just kind of like put the 2 events side by side, especially because Jollywood is so new, and kind of like, what makes sense for families, what doesn't, what makes more sense if you're just doing a date night and you're going to go out for a special event, which is also an option, or just out with friends. That's always that too. So, Jackie, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this episode?
My final thoughts are I'm excited to go to these parties next week. I still haven't experienced them. I've been to Not So Scary, but I haven't done Very Merry. And obviously Jollywood is brand new. So I am still packing and planning outfits and getting all of our stuff together. And I'm super excited to go next week.
I'd love to see you experiencing all the Christmas stuff, because you're such a huge Christmas person. Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
I'm going to have to keep tally of how many times I cry on this trip.
I cry a lot, more than I thought I would.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot.
My final thoughts include making sure that you eat lots of protein before you have a lot of sugar at the party, because there's a lot of sugar. Just pace yourself with the sugar cookies.
Excellent.
Best advice.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Lots of water, lots of protein.
And don't let anybody discourage you. There's been a lot of talk about Jollywood nights. If you've already bought a ticket and you were excited about it, now you're feeling really bummed, don't feel that way, because it is what you make it, and it is a really wonderful event, and you're going to have a great time because it's about the people you're with. It's not about just the stuff you do, so just go in expecting to have a good time, and you will. And it's a wonderful place. So a wonderful event, a wonderful place, and Disney will continue to make it even better as they go along. So
yes, absolutely. And I
Yeah,
will
that's
add
fine.
that our good friend Allie Beth added a comment here on my side. Ziploc bags, which we didn't mention, but if you're going
This
to Very
aside.
Merry, take yourself a good size Ziploc bag so that way any extra cookies that you don't finish, you can stash them in there and they won't end up crumbs all over your bag.
Like my bag. My bag had lots of cookie crumbs in it. I was shaking it out before I was packing things the other night. So be careful. Yes, bring your Ziploc bags.
Yes.
You'll need
Thank
them.
you, Allie Beth. We appreciate you. Well, on that note, I think we are going to wrap this up. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this evening's episode of Mom Street USA. As always, like we mentioned a little bit ago, you are welcome to reach out to us if you've got questions about Disney, Disney World, Disneyland, planning a trip, whatever it may be. Send them our way. We're more than happy to help. And we always appreciate your support and you guys hanging out and chatting with us.
Yeah, thank you everybody for being with us for this episode. We really appreciate you guys and we hope you have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you next time.
Bye.